Hey, Jim Wolf here. So how do you get out of the dreaded friend zone? So right now you're friends with a woman who you would rather date. How do you switch from the friend track to the dating track with her? Well, first of all, let me tell you that once a woman slots you into one of those two tracks, whether it's dating her or being her friend, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to change tracks. It's a really hard thing to do unless she's interested in you already and just doesn't know that you're also interested in her. So the first thing I have to say is that you should definitely not, quote, man up and tell her how you feel. And why shouldn't you do that? Well, if you haven't shown any interest in dating her yet and you're just being her friend, it's awkward if you all of a sudden spring that interest in her in a really heavy, dramatic way. It's a lot for her to take in. If you haven't shown any signs before that you want to date her, and then all of a sudden you just dump all of that on her at once, it can be a lot for her to handle. Okay, so you definitely don't want to, quote, man up and tell her how you feel. That's not a good way to do it. And also, one of the most powerful mindset shifts that you can have when it comes to your dating success is to realize that your interest in her doesn't matter in terms of how much she likes you. Okay, so you being interested in her does not make her more interested in you. Your interest in her and her interest in you are completely separate from each other. So you telling her how much you like her does not make her like you more. So if you can get that out of your head right now and start focusing on testing women to see how interested they are in you, and then if they are a little bit interested, on raising their interest in you, you're going to do much better. So if you're in the friend zone with a woman right now who you would rather date, there's one thing that you can try to test and see if she is interested in you that's not going to be really heavy for her, and that's not going to be really dramatic, and it's going to be a little bit easier for you than just breaking down and telling her how you feel. And that is to throw out a tension building line and see how she responds to it. So the next time you're hanging out with her and you're having a conversation with her, you just drop in one of these tension building lines and see how she responds. And this is going to allow you to test and see if she's interested in you or not without being super dramatic and without taking a huge risk and without destroying your friendship with her. So this is definitely the best strategy if you want to test the waters to see if there's a potential for you to move from the friend track to the dating track. And I'm going to give you 4 examples of a tension building line that you can use today if you're in the friend zone with a particular woman. So the next time you're hanging out with her, you can casually say something like this: "If you keep looking at me like that, I might have to kiss you." Or you can say, "You're so cool. It's too bad I'm not attracted to you at all." Or casually say, "You know what? It's too bad you wouldn't be able to handle me. Otherwise, I think you'd be such a good girlfriend." Or you can try, "You're so awesome. It's too bad you're too innocent for me." And now when you drop one of these tension building lines to test the waters and see if she might be interested in you, when you say it, you want to just say it and then don't look for her reaction. Okay, so say that tension building line and then kind of move your eyes and head and body away a little bit like it was no big deal and you didn't say anything at all. Okay, so you want to casually drop in one of these lines like it's not a big deal. Now, you definitely want to read her reaction. You just don't want to wait for it. Okay, so see how she responds to this line that you drop, and that will tell you everything you need to know about whether or not she's interested in you. So this is one really good way to test her interest in you without being really heavy and dramatic and telling her how you feel and all of that stuff that you see in the movies, which is where this kind of stuff should stay. That whole being friends with a woman for 2 months and then telling her how you feel one day should only be left for the movies. So let those actors do that, and instead try dropping one of those lines and see how she reacts. Now, if she reacts really strongly in a negative way, which might happen even though it's unlikely, you can always just say, "Hey, come on, I was just joking, haha." So if she reacts really strongly in a negative way, just say, "Hey, I was just joking, no big deal." Okay, and then just move the conversation forward, and if that happens, then you can be sure that she doesn't want to date you, and you can decide if you want to continue being friends with her or not after that. Now, the best possible thing that you can do, of course, is to avoid being in the friend zone in the first place with a woman, unless you truly just want to be friends with her. So the best thing to do is just to never get on that friend track and instead start out from the very beginning on the dating track. And how do you do that? Well, if you are friends with a woman, chances are you're really good at building rapport with her. And if you want to start dating women instead of just being their friends, that means you already have half of this completely down, which is awesome. All you have to do now is, instead of just building rapport with women right away, also build attraction by being playfully challenging first before you start building rapport with them, and then continue to inject a little bit of sexual tension in your conversations over time. So all you have to do is just be playfully challenging and build some attraction first, and then you can build that rapport that you're so good at building right now. So you're just missing one little piece of building some attraction first, and then doing what you do now and building rapport with them over time, and then adding a little bit of tension into your conversations at various intervals. Okay, so you're very close. All you have to do is build some attraction first. And again, if you do that, then the frame is established that you want to date her, and you don't have to switch tracks, which again is really difficult to do. Also, if you want to make sure that you're on the dating track and not on the friend track, when you're texting with her, ask her to meet up one-on-one. Don't go out with her in a group of your friends. And when you ask her out, ask her to hang out with you at a specific time on a specific day and for a specific activity. So if you do those things, she's going to think that it's more of a dating track than a friend thing. And also make sure that you go for the kiss by the end of the third date. I recommend that you kiss her on the second date, but definitely make sure that you go for the kiss by the end of the third date. Otherwise, you'll be firmly on that friend track, even if you're asking her out one-on-one. And by the way, you can use one of those 4 tension building lines that I just gave you to make it easier to go for that first kiss on your second or third date. So definitely use this to kind of test her interest in you and make it a lot easier to go for the kiss and escalate with her. And it's going to make it a lot less awkward for her as well, because these things are very light and fun. And again, if she reacts negatively in a really strong way, you can just say you were kidding and then move forward. So this is a really good thing for you too, because it's a lot less risky and more effective at the same time. And here's what it really comes down to. You must be okay if she's not interested in you. And the fear of her not being interested in you is probably what got you in the friend zone to start out with. Listen, as hard as it is when you're really interested in a woman, and trust me, I can relate 100% to that. It's okay if she's not interested in you. I know it's really cliche to say there's other fish in the sea, but I'm going to say it a little bit differently. There are over 3.5 billion other women in the world, and it really is okay if this one is not interested in you. And here's the thing, if you're avoiding finding out whether she's really interested in you or not by pretending to be her friend when you really want to date her, your self-confidence is going to go down over time. And if you go for the kiss, or you ask her out on a date, or you take a little bit of that risk and you use courage to take an action even though you're afraid, even if she's not interested in you, you will value yourself more and you'll be more confident just because you took that action. And the next time you want to do it, it will be easier. And then you'll start getting what you want. So even if you're really afraid, use a little bit of courage and take a little bit of a risk. Now, you definitely shouldn't take a huge risk and go all in with all of your chips and sit her down after 3 months of just being her friend and saying, "Oh, I love you," and hopefully she responds well. That's way too big of a risk. I'm asking you to take a little bit of a risk at the beginning with a woman. So ask for that number, ask her out on that date, use that challenging, funny line, use that tension building line, and go for that kiss. Use a little bit of courage to take that little risk, and even if this woman is not interested in you, you're going to feel better about yourself and you're going to do much better with the next one. And again, I already mentioned this, but if you're able to be friends with a woman, that's a really good thing, because that means that you're going to be good at having a long-term relationship if that's something that you want. So that's a really good thing. All you have to do is learn to build attraction first and become a master of sexual attention, and you will get everything that you want. Plus, it's great to have female friends. If you want to be friends with women, that's awesome. I have a lot of female friends and I love them. I love hanging out with women. I think it's great. So there's nothing wrong with having female friends, of course. It's just if you really are interested in dating a woman and you're pretending to be her friend, it's a little bit dishonest, even though that's obviously not what you're trying to do. Because you're a good guy, so you're not trying to be dishonest. I know it's probably just because of some fear and some of the things that you believe about yourself, but if you take a step back and look at it from another person's perspective, you're being a little bit dishonest in that situation. And I don't think it's a good thing to be dishonest with someone that you think of as your friend or someone that you want to date. So if you're in the friend zone with a woman you want to date right now, throw out one of those tension-building lines or one that's similar that fits your personality better and see what happens. Because if she is a little bit interested in you and you just haven't shown enough interest for her to reciprocate, then she will respond positively to that little test, and then you can take it from there. And if she doesn't respond the way you hope, you will feel better about yourself anyway. And maybe she'll introduce you to one of her friends. So be cool about it no matter how she responds, and I wish you luck. And if you want to make absolutely certain that you never end up in the friend zone ever again unless you want to be there, go grab your copy of my book, Attract and Keep Her, right now. I'm Jim Wolfe, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.